New technology platforms are arriving faster than ever before. What do you see as creating a buzz this year at CES?
Well, every year when I go into CES, the first question is, we've been promised the digital home for so long, and every year we get closer, but it's kind of like that paradox, Zeno's paradox. You're firing the arrow and it gets halfway and halfway and halfway, but never gets entirely there. And I feel like the digital home is kind of like that, because I sort of say to myself, I look at all these things and I say, is this going to be easy enough for my mother to use? And I still don't feel like we're all the way there yet, where everything works together and I can buy this thing from Sony and this thing from Toshiba and this thing from Apple and just put it in the living room and it just figures itself out and talks to each other. We're not there yet. But that's the major measuring stick that I go in the show with. How much closer are we to that day when it's all going to work together seamlessly in the living room?
Wow, Sean, are you looking at the same thing at Popular Science, or?
I'm actually going to be contrarian on that. I mean, I would love that. I would love everything to be networked together and work together and have this wonderful symmetry or a synergy. But I don't know how much the consumers want that. I mean, I think they want a nice TV that works well. So I'm kind of looking more for smaller steps that I think might be more important. I think wireless HD video is going to start coming on and really getting its stride. And the idea that I can watch my TV and not have a cable hanging off it probably is going to excite more people than the idea of I want to network my computer with my television. So I'm looking kind of at more sort of simple things that just make everyday users' experience easier.
You know, it's interesting you talk about that. I just have to jump in. It seems like Monster Cable is going to be here forever, and I'm so tired of wiring up all my boxes. Is that wireless future really going to become a standard?
I think so. I mean, I've seen some demonstrations already of the technology working. I think there's going to be a little haggling about whose standard we're going to follow, whether there's going to be multiple standards. But it works pretty well, and I think it's got appeal. I think it's got, because it's something that we all deal with. And I'm sure Monster is considering coming up with their own wireless version as well.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised.
John, what are you seeing in Crunch Gear?
I think this is the year of official HD. I think the consoles themselves have sort of been like the Trojan horse to get HD into the home, Blu-ray, HD, DVD. It's essentially going to be agnostic in about 6 months. You're going to have people who own PS3s, people who own Xboxes, but you're also going to have the people who buy the HD DVD and Blu-ray hybrid players, which I think are going to be the standard. There's really no, I think the end of the war is very, very near in terms of disc formats and HD formats. People are actually understanding how these things work, and they're actually putting them in the home.
Is this a war, or is this going to be solved by having players that play any format?
When Microsoft and Toshiba, through some sort of incentives, agreements, but convinced Paramount to go from being format neutral to supporting HD DVD exclusively through, I believe, the end of next year, that basically guaranteed that the format war would go through not only this holiday, but next holiday. I think the challenge is, if you look at that Nielsen survey from several weeks ago, where they were talking about how much the penetration and like people actually looking at HD content on HD sets is a bit lower, like a lot lower actually than we thought it was. And so I think a lot of people are getting these sets because they're big and because they're flat, but not so much because of HD DVD or Blu-ray or high-def content. And I think, DVD is good enough for most people. And I bet if we went into a lot of homes, we'd probably see people with these awfully stretched pictures and things like that because they haven't properly hooked it up.
Right.
So I think there's still some baseline work that needs to be done before HD really takes off.
In terms of the format war, I mean, I remember another format war that had DVD in it. It was the plus R and RW and the minus R and RW, and that war, really never ended until the combo drives came out. But the problem is, I think it's basically the makers of combo drives' war to lose, because if they continue to cost $1,000, $900, no one's going to buy them, and the war is going to continue until something probably replaces both HD, DVD, and Blu-ray. But if they take a hit and maybe take some losses to try to get penetration and get acceptance of the product, sell them for $300, it could work. A combo solution could work.
Is this the year of HD? It's not just about our flat screen panels, but it's also about our discs.
I don't think this year is going to be the year of the HD over the air, HD over cable delivery. It's going to be mostly about the discs. It's going to be mostly about kids buying the PlayStation 3, bringing it home, or me buying the PlayStation 3 and bringing it home. And
how old are your kids?
2, so it doesn't work. And just convincing the rest of the family that HD video is far superior. Then you have a toehold for 2009 for the digital delivery. I mean, it's taking far too long in our eyes, but in terms of people who are sitting at home and actually consuming this entertainment, I think it's just going nice and slow, which is exactly what they want, because they don't want to buy into a DVD format that's going to fail in 2 years.
Why aren't we going to Netflix online, or that concept of, let me just get my title, download it to my PC or my mobile device or my TV and move on?
There's no need to rebuy the DVDs you already bought. I would get specific ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say it's a James Cameron movie, or it's the Lord of the Rings movies, or the Matrix movies. You probably want to get those in Blu-ray or HD DVD because they're going to look phenomenal. But this is not like VHS, like where it did make sense to replace your collection. I don't think people have to do that now. And honestly, until this format war were to settle itself out, I'd rent from Netflix.
HotIce.tv,